Today's video is on types of variables, and this topic is from probability and statistics, and this is from the first chapter, that is descriptive statistics. In today's video, I am going to explain about dependent and independent variables. See here, all experiments examine some kind of variables. A variable is not only something that we measure, but also something that we can manipulate and something we can control for. First, we illustrate the role of dependent and independent variables. Finally, we explain how variables can be characterized as either categorical or continuous. First thing is dependent and independent variables. All independent variables, sometimes called as an experimental or a predictor variable, is a variable that is being manipulated in an experiment in order to observe the effects on a dependent variable, sometimes called as an outcome variable. Imagine that a tutor asks 100 students to complete a maths test. The tutor wants to know why the students perform better than others, whilst the tutor doesn't know the answer to this. She thinks that it might be because of two reasons. First one is some students spend more time revising for the test, and the second thing is some students are naturally more intelligent than others. As such, the tutor decides to investigate the effect of the revision time and the intelligence on the test performance of 100 students. The dependent and independent variables for the study are, see here, the dependent variables are the test marks measured from 0 to 100, and independent variable revision time measured in hours, intelligence the measured using the IQ score. And let me explain you according to the mathematical notation what is a dependent variable and what are independent variables. See here, y is equal to x square plus 1. So here x value is an independent variable. So x doesn't depend on any value. So if x is equal to 1, if you keep x is equal to 1, so this is an individual value. It is throughout the equation. So if you keep x is equal to 1, see here y value depends on the x value. So y is equal to, this is 1 plus 1, y is equal to 2. So we got the value of 2 after keeping the value of x is equal to 1. So x is an individual, x is an independent variable, and y is dependent on x, and therefore y is a dependent variable. So according to this, according to the mathematical notation, so there are two variables here, x and y. So y is dependent on the value of x, and therefore y is dependent variable and x is independent. So it is not dependent on any variable, and therefore it is an independent variable. So x is an independent variable and y is a dependent variable. So these are the differences between the dependent and the independent variables. And coming to our question here what is a dependent variable? Test marks. See here, the test marks are the dependent variables. So the marks are dependent on, see here, revision time and intelligence. See here, the independent terms are the revision time and the intelligence are the individual. So individual variables, that is independent variables here. See here, there is a difference here between the dependent and independent. See, y is dependent on x. Here marks are dependent on the revision time and the intelligence, and therefore the revision time and the intelligence are the independent variables and the marks scored is the dependent variable. See here, now you will be understanding this concept, that is dependent variables. Test marks measured from 0 to 100. This is independent variables. Revision time measured in hours and intelligence measured using the IQ score. See here, the dependent variable is simply that. See, what is dependent? Marks are dependent on a variable that is dependent on an individual independent variables. For example, in our case, the test marks of a student's achieve is dependent on the revision time and the intelligence. See here, the test marks are dependent on the revision time and the intelligence. Here, these two are the independent terms, independent variables, and here the test marks are dependent on these two, the revision time and the intelligence. Whilst the revision time and the intelligence, the independent variables, may or may not cause the change in the test marks. The dependent variables, the reverse is implausible. In other words, whilst the number of the hours of the students spend revising and the higher a student's IQ score may or may not change the test marks of the students achieve. A change in the student's test mark has no bearing on whether the student revises more or is more intelligent. categorical or continuous variables. Categorical variables are also known as a discrete or a qualitative. In my upcoming video, I am going to explain about the qualitative and the quantitative variables and their subtypes as nominal, ordinal, dichotomous, interval variables, ratio variables, and so on in a crystal clear way. And it will be very important for you to get understand so that you will get a clear clarity on statistics. Thank you so much for watching and staying till the end. Hope you got an idea about dependent and the independent variables. And this is the first part from the types of the variables. In my upcoming video, I'll be explaining about so many variables, types of variables. Please don't miss that video. It will be very helpful. If you really like, you know what to do, please raise your thumb, pass it on to your as many friends as you can, and subscribe to this channel and stay connected and go to the playlist. So many videos are uploaded for your preparation. It will be very, very helpful for your preparation. Thank you so much.